Story 1. Pacific Northwest in an old forest, close enough to the shore to hear it, but not visible from my house. The house is by a small river that runs to the ocean. It is an L-shaped house with one side blocking the wind from the ocean, featuring a mostly enclosed gazebo in the center with a nice stone fire pit and a small outdoor kitchenette against the back wall. There is seating all around the sides of the gazebo and a couple of hooks to hang a hammock for napping next to the fire, wrapped in a warm blanket. The L is 2 stories. The lower floor contains the usual spaces but is more open from end to end. The upper floor has a master suite with a rain shower and an office on one end, while the other end of the L is a greenhouse with a little reading nook and breakfast area. Story 2. Portugal. My fiancé is from there, but we chose the United States for financial reasons. I would have preferred going there and being closer to her family. They have a much better quality of life and a healthier relationship with work than we do here. Story 3. New Zealand's South Island is a first-world English-speaking country, so there isn't a significant cultural adjustment for me as an American. However, it is as far away from the busy crowds as one can get. Story 4. New Zealand is beautiful and offers a variety of weather. Best of all, I can live in the mountains away from others while still having everything I need nearby. I'm not sure how accurate this is, but I'm dreaming anyway. Story 5. On a little private island that's big enough to have everything I need, with robots to run the local hospital and stores that do their job and don't talk to me. Story 6. I would still live in England. There are many beautiful places in this country to want to leave. I have lived in Manchester my whole life, but the north has many stunning places, including York and beyond. There is also a place further south called Huntingdon, which has an area named Godmanchester. Story 7. Main residence would be close to Napa, California. Napa is known for its countryside and is very expensive due to its notoriety, but the outskirts of Napa are beautiful and affordable. I would buy a lot of land to farm, rescue animals, and create a camp for at-risk inner-city children and individuals with special needs. Many of these children have never experienced nature or an alternative way of living. The parents of individuals with special needs deserve a break from full-time caregiving. That is my dream, to provide free services to these underserved individuals. That would make me happy. Story 8. Corona del Mar in Southern California. I don't care what people say, California is beautiful. You just need money to make it work. Story 9. I currently live in Michigan and cannot imagine myself anywhere else. I would fix my family home in Lebanon and use it as a summer home. Story 10. Tokyo. I always thought Japanese cities and nature looked nice, but Japanese culture can be so difficult and unhealthy that I would only willingly live there if I had significant financial resources. Story 11. I currently live in Hawaii. I like it here. I would like to have a bigger home with proper air conditioning, a pool, and possibly a garage, perhaps somewhere elevated with a view. Story 12. Singapore offers great food, one of the best passports in the world with visa-free travel to many countries. No winter, an international airport that connects to numerous destinations, and very low crime rates. Story 13. On a private island where I would not need anything, I can live a self-sufficient life, cut off from the entire world and enjoy peace. Story 14. Exactly where I am, but I would donate a substantial amount to the government to get this situation in order. I would also hire elite private security to watch me 24/7, as I am bound to have enemies. Story 15. A small house on a large piece of land. Please note that I did not say a tiny house. Those people are crazy. Story 16. Probably Singapore, but I would need to fly my entire family out there as well, which theoretically should not be a problem. My second choice would be New Zealand, but it is challenging to get packages delivered there, so yes, Singapore it is. Story 17. If I had unlimited money, I would probably live in the same town I am in now, but in a nicer neighborhood with a 5-bedroom house for my family. I would also start using that infinite money to make my hometown a better place to live, with more fun activities available. If McDonald's can prevent In-N-Out Burger from opening a shop in my town by threatening to stop sponsoring everything for 30 years, then I am sure I could offer them some funds to get a homeless shelter built, clean up the litter, and provide more options for young people to do besides window shopping. I would bring back the local bookstore, reopen the movie theater, build another arcade, propose a second story for the mall, and help small businesses with advertising. I would also construct new houses and parks in the many empty fields. I am too rooted in my town to move away, even if it's not the best place to live. So really, I just want to improve this town for myself and for everyone else. Story 18. Somewhere safer for women. I am not worried about today or tomorrow. I am concerned about the next 10 years and beyond. Story 19. Japan appeals to me because of its beautiful aesthetics in buildings and overall appearance. Cutie Pie did just that. Story 20. Right where I am. I am near most of my friends, within flying distance of my family, and I already have an internet connection that is more than sufficient to support my introversion. Story 21. It would be close to most of my family in the Toronto area, but I might spend a lot of time elsewhere. Story 22. I would live where I do now, in the middle of a national park in Australia. I would also have other homes, one at the beach, perhaps an apartment in Paris, and a retreat in a location that I will not disclose. Story 23. Same area in Northern California in a better house. I might also buy a vacation home, but I don't desire multiple properties except maybe for family members. I would rather spend the bulk of my money on various favorite charities. Story 24. A normal house, but with a large underground area resembling a mansion, including an underground hangar and openings in the ground. Story 25. Probably just a 5-star hotel in New York. Let's be real. That or a 5-star island resort. Maybe both, and do 6 months at each location. Story 26. With unlimited money, I would live in a castle on a private island, resembling Hogwarts, featuring a secret library and an army of rescue dogs. Story 27. Where I live right now, I would fund the hospital that the county started to build but then stopped because they ran out of money. It is a 45-minute drive without traffic to the nearest hospital in Kahului. Story 28. In a hypothetical scenario, I imagine finding the perfect cabin in a secluded area of the woods, close enough to a city for convenience, but far enough to avoid frequent interactions with people. In this situation, it would be a peaceful retreat where I could disconnect from the hustle and bustle of life and enjoy the serenity of nature. The possibilities in this new chapter of my life would be endless, and I would be excited to explore them. Story 29. Have a large hobbit house built into the side of a hill, surrounded by trees, bushes, flowers, and a nearby river, immersed in nature. It should be close enough to civilization to bike there in about 15 minutes. I would like the nearby community to have a place where I can volunteer with horseback riding and help people build their confidence. Story 30. Probably my childhood home, but I lived in a bad neighborhood, so I kept it low-key that I had unlimited money. Story 31. I would buy apartments in every city I have ever visited and liked. I would equip them with the latest gaming systems and spend my days playing video games and watching movies and television series. Women are optional. Story 32. Northern Colorado. I might have a house in my hometown in California for when I want to visit family. A house near Disney World would be great, too. Story 33. A small, one-bedroom home on a modest plot of land is all I need to play video games and go out for a few hours a week. I definitely won't be working, but I will be working out. Living frugally, as I do now, will allow me to build a substantial nest egg. Story 34. Probably Hawaii, somewhere with a beach, or maybe El Salvador. I might just rent an apartment nearby to store my belongings while I'm in town and travel indefinitely. Story 35. On a yacht, specifically at Trinity Tsumet. That vessel holds a special place in my heart, and I have dreamed about it since it was christened. Story 36. I was just looking up Tenerife. The weather there seems pretty awesome. Plus, I speak some Spanish, which would only improve by living there. Story 37. If I had unlimited resources, every country on Earth would be after me. I would probably be in a bunker a couple of miles underground or maybe inside a volcano. Story 38. I would build the Shire from Lord of the Rings, but sized for normal humans and move all my family and friends there. It would probably be in New Zealand where the movie was filmed. Story 39, probably Coruscant or Naboo. Both seemed like really nice places to live and greener than anywhere else in the galaxy. Story 40, where I live right now, I am 27 years old and have lived in the same house since I was 3. I am too attached to my house to live anywhere else. However, I have had apartments in a few different cities around the world. Story 41. In a building where no one suspects or realizes it is a home, like the second floor and above in a commercial retail or office building with underground parking and regular commercial deliveries to mask my own. It provides all the comfort of wealth with zero fame. Story 42. I would have my own island where only my closest friends have houses, but I would only be there occasionally, traveling as much as possible. Story 43. Yuma, Arizona, is recognized by the World Meteorological Organization as the sunniest place on Earth, with a total of 11 hours of sunlight in winter and up to 13 hours in summer. This sounds appealing to me. I have never been to America, but I hope this place is safe. Story 44. Berlin or Dublin. I would travel around and settle down in one country for 3 to 6 months, then move on to the next. I definitely would not continue living in the United States. Story 45. I would have multiple small homes and nice apartments in various countries and cities. I would definitely want a house in Kukaki, Greece, some cabins in the Pacific Northwest of the United States, apartments in major U.S. cities, and an apartment in a scenic area of South Korea, Singapore, Spain, Hawaii, Ireland, the United Kingdom, and Rome, Italy. All would be furnished in different styles. Story 46. I would have homes everywhere. One in Japan, Italy, Mexico, China, Dubai, and a few throughout Canada, California, Oklahoma, Texas, New York, Hawaii, Chicago, Oregon, and Colorado. I would also build a fort, a castle, a giant treehouse, an underground bunker, a secret base hidden in the mountains, a tower, and a giant skyscraper. These would be random places for me to hang out around the world in addition to the homes. I would probably try to get a space station on the moon. Story 47. With my family in a spacious home that required an intercom for communication, there was just enough room for each of us to enjoy life in a way that brings us joy. Story 48. 4 houses around the world, so I would always live in spring. Spring is over. I just moved to the next house, and it's spring again. Story 49. A large farm. The house would resemble a bunker from the outside, well protected from bushfires and intruders. There would be a massive hangar that would serve as a warehouse-sized workshop and garage. The farm itself would still be a working farm, but that's just a cover to throw off prying eyes. Story 50. On 60 acres of land that is essentially a forest, there is a house situated in the middle. The house should be around 6,000 square feet with a 3-door garage capable of accommodating 6 cars, including 2 car lifts. That is all I desire. Solitude and a space where all the magic happens with my various projects. Story 51. Probably 10 minutes from where I live now. I would buy the house next to my sister so I can live close to my nephew. Story 52. I would build an apartment complex in every city I liked, keep the penthouses for myself, have roof gardens and facilities for all the residents and myself, and make the rent and service charges affordable for everyone. I would not aim to profit beyond having sufficient funds for emergencies and general repairs. Story 53. Honestly, I think I would live everywhere. I have always dreamed of traveling the world, so with unlimited money, I would explore. I would visit major cities, experience new cultures, and create lifelong memories. I would even have my friends join me occasionally so we can have fun together. Story 54. I would buy a mountain in northern Georgia and level the top to build on. Then I would sit on my porch telling everyone to stay off my lawn. Story 55. Wouldn't you like to know? If I had the cash, I would be disappearing into the abyss, so no one could find me. I would live with my dogs and get supplies delivered. Story 56. I would buy some castles and have them renovated and modernized. I would also acquire the traditionally attached land around them. Politicians and the general bureaucracy in my region would do almost anything for money, So even if the land belonged to a small village or town, with potentially unlimited funds, they would eagerly seek favors. Story 57. I'd stay where I am, Singapore. It's a pretty wonderful place to be if you have unlimited money. In fact, anywhere would be great with unlimited money. Story 58. Singapore or Tokyo. The culture, the shops, the food, the condominiums, the modern lifestyle are unmatched. Story 59. Not a fan of the ocean, honestly a bit scared of it, but a well-equipped small cruise ship or perhaps a luxury yacht would be a great way to explore the world. Imagining something fictional, one of the helicarriers from the Avengers could be exciting. Even more ambitious, a fully self-sustaining spaceship to explore the entire universe would be the dream. Story 60. Everyone's response I read indicates that people are trying to get away from cities. I love cities. If I had to limit my answer to one place, it would be London. It is close enough to mainland Europe to fly anywhere in a few hours, with amazing restaurants, wine bars, pubs, and a vibrant music scene. There is so much fun to be had in summer. Winter is less enjoyable, but I live in Berlin and have no issues with the cold. London is a great city, but it is too expensive for me to fully enjoy. If I could divide my time, I would spend summer in London and then fly back to Australia for the northern winter, likely to Sydney or Melbourne. I would also have a few nice apartments around the world, definitely in Berlin and Hong Kong. Story 61. There are wealthy individuals with private homes and full staff that they never visit. However, the properties are maintained as if the family is expected at any moment. Story 62. Northern Alaska or the Yukon Territory is a very cold and snowy region. I would live in a stone mansion, far away from anyone or anything else, surrounded by snowy mountains and snow, and live in peace. Story 63. Honestly, I would have to travel more to find out. The few times I have been able to travel, I love the places and always wished I lived there. But who knows? Right now, Cocoa Beach, Florida has my heart. It is one of the last older beach towns in Florida that still has a cool population and retains its charm. Story 64. I really like where we live now location-wise, near the Chesapeake Bay, so I wouldn't change much aside from it being a nicer home on the water. I think $2 million gets me everything I want. The part that gets expensive is the second and third homes on the Delaware shore and in the mountains at Deep Creek Lake. I prefer vacation homes to be in drivable locations. A property a block off the ocean in Rehoboth is going to be $4 to $5 million easily, and probably another $1.5 to $2 million for lakefront near Wisp. Story 65. Cruise ship. A large O-shaped boat features a sea gate at the front. Smaller yachts can dock securely in dry docks suitable for high seas. Above the yacht storage are 4 rows of cargo containers. These can be transported from port to port as cargo or accessed internally as a stock supply. On the outside of the ship are passenger cabins. Near the bow are traditional single rooms with balconies. Near the stern are larger suites with tiered terraces that include kitchen and living spaces, bedrooms, and office or play areas, depending on family or adult preferences. The bottom floor opens to a beachfront grill patio. Yes, I mentioned a beachfront. There is a beach enclosed by a half-pipe of clear glass surrounding the ship. At high seas, this area is drained and secured. Safety nets are installed to prevent individuals from hitting the dome if the water carries them. The front bow gate is the only place where the beach ends. Passengers can ascend a large staircase, shop at boardwalk-style shops and restaurants, and enjoy a few small rides. The stern is where the real entertainment happens. The back end is hollowed out, featuring a concert stage, dance floors, and bars. International waters make it a cannabis-friendly environment, but we kindly ask guests to utilize our designated smoking areas. The top of the ship has 2 folding roller coasters that travel the entire perimeter. You can board from the front of the stern stage or the bow bridge. Story 66. I've become obsessed with late 1980s modular homes with cathedral ceilings. With unlimited money, would you mean about $60,000? That amount would be sufficient. Story 67. I have thought about this before, but I never had a clear answer for myself. Right now, I live in an apartment building with decent access to public transportation. However, there are houses in the neighborhood with the same access. They are not quite as big as one in the suburbs, but they are relatively spacious for a city and probably more expensive. I might want to live in one of those houses to enjoy the benefits of house living while having access to the city. Additionally, I would have a driveway to park a car if I wanted to drive somewhere. Story 68. I would buy a large volume of helium and build a Zeppelin to sail the world. My staff and I could be very comfortable. Story 69. Unlimited money? Why settle in one place? Apartments and houses in all the cool spots of the world like the Alps, New York City, Paris, Tokyo, Montreal, and Costa Rica. Story 70. I would have various locations in different countries and move freely between them. Some of those places would serve as escape hideaways in the event of natural or civic disasters. Story 71. If we're really talking unlimited, I would say a penthouse in or near Midtown in New York City, an inland coastal modern or Spanish-style mansion in Miami or Miami Beach, a beautiful cliffside home in Malibu or near Santa Barbara, a traditional Japanese home with a Japanese garden in a suburb between Kyoto and Osaka, a beach house on a Thai island like Koh Samui, a penthouse or villa in Bangkok, and possibly some large private land in the American West like Colorado or Utah. I might even consider owning my own private safari park in Kenya or Tanzania. Dubai could also be a fascinating place to own a penthouse in downtown or a mansion on the Palm Jumeirah. I would also be tempted by a Swiss ski chalet. I can only dream. Story 72. I would buy back the family farm and start aggressively purchasing all property around it to return it to its original size. I would demolish many houses and attempt to restore any that are historically significant. The soil would be remediated and transformed back into farmland, forests, and open spaces, with the ultimate goal of returning the area to rural farmland. In the long term, I would establish a self-sustaining community of farms that cannot be demolished or developed. I would create partnerships with agriculture, forestry, history, and architecture colleges to bring in people to live and work without undue financial burdens. This would resemble a colonial Williamsburg type of setup, but with a greater emphasis on space and farmland. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.